Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the 4 most toxic management traits that will destroy your company culture. And we're going to take a very close look at each one of those traits and try to help you identify them. But first, I have a question. Are you ready to find these traits? Are you ready to find the people who are managing in these very toxic styles? Because if you aren't, they're going to hold your company back. It's really very important that you and I identify these traits so you can spot them in your own company and potentially make some changes. It will be a very positive and good move for you and your business. So let's jump in. Let's talk about trait number 1. And again, I have my notes here. The first of the 4 most toxic management traits is the authoritarian. And let's think about that for a second. The authoritarian style manager is always the person who believes they are ultimately right. They do not welcome outside ideas. They are the keepers of the status quo. They want their associates to do exactly what they say, exactly when they say it, and question nothing. They don't really care about any other opinion, typically an opinion above them, unless it's an ultimatum. But they certainly don't care about the opinions of subordinates. They don't want to have other voices giving them advice. This is a very narcissistic type personality, and it can bleed into a management style that just overruns people. It kills creativity, and it kills trust. Why would people be, interested in coming up with great new ideas when they know their manager is just going to snuff them out? They're just going to say, no, we're going to do it my way, and we're going to do it my way right now. The authoritarian style manager is a very big problem if you have that type personality in a manager in your company. The second of the very toxic management traits is what I call the absentee manager. Now, it also can be called the friendly manager. And why wouldn't subordinates be friendly to a manager who's absent much of the time, who is not engaged? Because if a manager isn't engaged and is operating on a very surface level, they don't understand the depths of problems. They don't understand the depths of projects and what these very important projects need. They don't understand the problems or the strengths of the subordinates that they're in charge of. They are not connected in any way. They are the people who want to get along and go along. They want things to run smoothly and not be very involved. Doesn't mean that they're not there. Doesn't mean that they don't show up and make their presence known at work, and then they disappear. They disappear sometimes physically into an office or into a space that's removed from their teams. Or maybe they just disappear emotionally and mentally and don't really ever provide leadership, because that's what a manager has to do. We all know this. You can be the boss. You can say, hey, my title entitles me to be the boss, and you do what I say. That's where you go back to that authoritarian level. You don't want that. You want someone who can come in and identify talent, who can identify problems and also identify opportunities, and then lead by example. They're there, they're engaged and connected, and they're aware of just about everything that's going on, and they can answer most every question that comes up. Those would be the traits that are opposite of the absentee manager. Now, the third of these managers is what I call the perfectionist, but it's most commonly referred to as the micromanager. I can tell you that this is a manager that I have probably the most problems with, or had the most problems with when I was working in my career. The micromanager never wants to give anyone room to grow or room to perform. They want to stop that burst of energy. They want to stop that flow of creativity. They want to be the person who makes the decision. And they want everything to be done in an exacting manner in the way that they see is the right way. The micromanager kills momentum, and just the micromanager wears people down to the point where they just almost give up. And it is such a bad thing to have a micromanager running a group or a team in your company. It prevents any sort of growth and creativity from that team. Now, let me give you a brief example of an almost micromanager thought. When I was a young manager at Johnson & Johnson in the McNeil division, we were the Tylenol over-the-counter products group. I was promoted to the trainer level, and I was sent out with an experienced trainer along with his latest trainee. And this guy was one of my favorite people. He was brilliant, just one of the most up-to-speed guys, buttoned up in admin, buttoned up in sales technique. He really understood his business. That's why he was named a trainer, and that's why he was a really good trainer. So I am in Tampa with Larry. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Larry and I were with a young trainee, and we go out to a public store, and Larry's teaching as we're driving, asking questions in a non-gotcha kind of way, just refreshing. What did we talk about yesterday? Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Just being that very guidance-oriented teacher. I'm in the back seat of our company car, cruising along, and just thinking that makes sense. I'm thinking about what we did yesterday as well. It was a very positive and very helpful style with this young trainee. We get to the store and we identify a problem. We have a set, in other words, how the Tylenol boxes were set on the shelves versus other competitors. And Larry says, what do you see here? What do you think we should do? And the trainee was very on point and said, our best sellers only have one facing, in other words, one row. And I think we should increase these 3 best sellers to 2 facings each. And Larry says, well, I agree with you. Well, what's your next step? And the young lady says, I'm going to go find the manager or this section person and ask to do this. And I'm going to take my notebook and tell them why and show them the sales. So it was really going well. Everything's just smooth and flowing. I'm nodding, Larry's nodding, and the young lady comes back with a manager, tells him her story, does a really good job, has a couple of proof sources there, and he goes, that's fine. I'm not going to do it. My people aren't going to do it. If you want to change it, it's okay with me. So we get busy. We get a cart. We start moving stuff around, and we start making sure we can condense other things and not, back stock it and have to move stuff to the rear of the store. So we are busy with the reset. Everything is in good shape, and we're looking at it. And I notice that a product is out of line. I noticed that in the haste to build the set, the young trainee has gotten a product out of sequence. And I'm standing behind her, and I step up and I start to reach. And I felt this arm, this hand on my arm, push my arm down and kind of move in front of me and stand beside the young trainee and say, okay, tell me, do you think we're set here? Are we ready? She looks it over and she goes, yeah, I think we're in good shape here. I believe this is right. And he goes, okay, I want you to take one more look. I want you just to look one more time and see if you think it. And I guess the light bulb went on as she immediately saw the product line, the item that was out of sequence or out of line. And immediately said, oh, well, that's wrong. I got to fix that. And fixes it. We leave, we go to lunch, and Larry and I have a couple minutes together. And I said to him, hey, I'm sorry, I was about to step in, and that was definitely the wrong thing. And he goes, yeah, when you're training someone, you want them to find their mistakes, explain that mistake to you, if at all possible. That teaches them a lot better than you just pointing things out and fixing it for them. Micromanagers don't do that. Micromanagers see something wrong. They, in their opinion, believe it's wrong. They fix it their way, and they don't care. They don't give a darn what you learn or don't learn. They want it done, and they want it done their way. So now let's take a look at the toxic trait number 4. This is another one of those managers who is really a harmful part of your leadership team. And this is called the ladder climber. This is the person who wants recognition so bad that they will steal ideas, they will steal creativity, and they will take credit for projects that other people complete or come up with great ideas. They will be the sole recipient in their mind of the credit, because to that ladder climber, they need that full credit to present to their manager, to just show them what a great up-and-coming young manager they are, how creative they are. What this does is it stifles, it just kills the momentum of a team. When you're a worker in a team and you're coming up with ideas and you're collaborating with other people and your group gets this thought process or this new system or new process in place, and you finally realize this is it, we've hit upon the answer, and your manager takes credit for it and basically just leaves you out of the success and the celebration, why would anybody want to contribute to that team? Why would you want to go through that again? If you do go through that again, you're a pretty dedicated employee and you are really willing to get shortchanged and able to move beyond that. That was something that I did not like doing very much when I was working at any level in my career. I didn't feel like I needed the most recognition, but I wanted to be recognized when I was a part of a team, and I wanted the team I was on to be recognized. And I've said this before in other videos. I never really found that until I worked for a small entrepreneurial company in Chicago called Outer Circle Products. And our highly principled culture made sure that those kind of things were very much the exception. We celebrated people and we celebrated teams and we celebrated individual growth and group growth, the group being the company. And one of the things that was fantastic about this company is we all kind of enjoyed each other. We didn't have to really like each other personally and away from work, but at work we were a group and we were very cohesive and we worked together very hard. And we had a common goal in place, and that was to make sure that this company that we loved working for, we were compensated properly, we were managed properly. Life was recognized in this company as being something everyone deals with without the rigidity that a lot of companies has in their rules and their admonitions of things that don't go perfect. This was a company about people, because people make up the heart and the soul of your company. Now, your products are very important, but the people doing all the executions are equally important, if not more so. We worked very hard in that company because we wanted that company to thrive, to be a success, and to be long-lasting. It did a great job. In 10 years, I think we went from $3 million to about $125 million. It was a fantastic company, and we all, to this day, many of us still share the relationships we built there, and we still share the absolute great feeling of that culture, which we called the principled culture at Outer Circle Products. If you think about these 4 toxic manager traits, they are limiting, and they will effectively shut down creativity and a lot of pleasantness, a lot of desire to be at work and desire to do good things at work if you allow them to exist. So my advice is this: as the owner, president, founder, whatever your title of authority is, you have to start paying attention to this. And when you see this, I'm not suggesting you go in and you lop off heads and you fire people and you say, that's it, get out. You have to recognize it and you have to address it. And if addressing it means training, or if it just means a stern sit down and say, you can't do that anymore. I'll help you, but you can't be this toxic trait or that toxic trait. You have to be willing, as the owner or manager, president, founder, whatever you are, in your authority position, you have to be willing to lay down the law and say, we're not going to do that anymore. And in the end, I can tell you, in the end, sometimes it's just the decision that that manager with one of those toxic traits can't work for you. And that's never easy. That's never something you look forward to. You've invested time. They are a management level person. You don't want to be firing managers unless it is the right thing to do for your company. And a lot of people that I have done consulting with, they don't like that kind of news. They don't embrace that kind of news because I think a lot of people hire consultants really with the mindset to show them what's working. Now, some want to know everything. Some want to know what's wrong because they know something's wrong. But oftentimes you can hand in your final consulting report with suggestions, and you have to make management changes, whether it's based on training and development of new skill levels by managers, or it's replacing the managers. You see a lot of authoritative people, the people in charge, who really don't like that. They don't want to have to take that step themselves. It is critical and it is vital. There's no way around it. If you remember a few videos back, we talked about the only news that is a priority really is the bad news. You have to get in front of bad news. These 4 toxic traits that exist in managers, if you have them, you have to get in front of those and you have to stop them. You have to stop them before they do real damage to your teams and ultimately to the growth and development of your entire company. Make the decision to find a way to evaluate your managers. It'll be one of the most positive things you can do for your company. And if you need to make changes, training or replacement, have the courage to step up and do that and do it effectively and right away. Now we're going to come back in about 10 days. We have a little trip planned here as we get into the holiday season, so we'll have a little gap in our weekly videos. But when we come back, we're going to do a little bit of an in-depth evaluation into this company I've repeatedly told you about. This is the Outer Circle Products company that I work for, that I have said multiple times had the greatest company culture I've ever in my career ever seen. It was truly, I think, pretty much the perfect culture to work in. And we're going to talk about the development of the principles that drove that company. And then we're going to examine the 7 principles we used to build our company environment and to absolutely blow up the growth and the, I would guess, overall joy of working there for most everyone, the positives that we had as a team, and the real benefits and rewards to not only the company, but to the people who were the heart and soul of that company. We'll do that in maybe 2 weeks, I hope 10 days. So until we get back together, hope everyone has a great time. Please take care of yourselves. We will see you again soon. Bye-bye.